Here to discuss the political fallout from the Mueller report and more is Anita Kumar, White House correspondent and associate editor at Politico. Anita, good morning.
Good morning.
We've got Jerry Nadler, the head of the House Judiciary Committee, subpoenaing the full report, indicating that he might want to hold extensive hearings on all of this, calling Mueller. Where exactly are we going at this point?
Well, it's not over. That we know. Well, I mean, obviously the Democrats want the full report, and they've been saying that from the beginning, and they're going to continue to try to work to get it. But to get that, they're going to have to go to court to try to get a judge to allow them to have all the pieces of that report. And the pieces that they didn't get were where the grand jury met and talked about things. So they could go to a court and try to do that. I mean, it's just going to be a prolonged fight at this point.
This obviously is falling on party lines as we're seeing the reactions to it. What about, I feel like we always go to the Trump base. Nothing seems to make a difference. And even just that idea that he didn't commit a crime, but he's not exonerated when it comes to obstruction. Any impact on the Trump base at this point when you go to 2020? Not
that I've seen at all. I mean, what they're saying and what the talking points are and what we're hearing is that they say, he didn't do it. So it vindicates him in that he's been saying for 2 years, people are out to get me. Democrats are out to get me. The media's out to get me. You know, the deep state's out to get me. And this just proves that for him, right? He's saying, I was right. 2 years, they've wasted all this time and this money. Now, there is the piece of obstruction, but they'll say, well, there was no underlying crime. So he tried to do what, you know? And so they'll just say,
this is the man we all knew him to be already.
Right. And remember, when Democrats push back and continue keeping this going for the next 2 years, they're going to say Democrats are overreaching. And so they think that they'll look good, this, you know, the way they want to.
To Dana's point, contextualizing this a bit in terms of history, how is this really different from what Richard Nixon did in the 70s and Bill Clinton in the 90s?
Well, one reason it's different is because we can see a lot more, right? I mean, it's just the modern day today. But you're right. I mean, people have compared it to what has been done in the past. But the president keeps going back to this. If there was no underlying crime, then how can I be committed? You know, have committed obstruction? And you know, because Bob Mueller didn't go there, it's the question of what we do next. Now, you'll see what Congress says. Congress says, now it's in our court. We have to decide if there was obstruction of justice.
Well, that leads to the question of, I mean, the Democrats, there are divisions already on whether they should seek impeachment or not. How big a fight is there going to be within the Democratic Party, do you think?
I think you're already seeing it. You saw House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer say, you know, no impeachment. And then he walked that back because he got a lot of criticism for that from people in his party. So you're seeing, as you saw, Elizabeth Warren saying, let's look at that. You see a lot of, you know, more progressives saying, we've got to look at impeachment. And you're seeing House Speaker Nancy Pelosi saying, let's wait and see what comes out.
With the Republican Senate and no real hope of impeachment, ultimately, what's the cost of the Democrats if they try to go this road?
Exactly. That's why Nancy Pelosi is saying, we can't do this unless we have the support of Republicans. What's the point? And they're afraid of the backlash, you know, when they're up in 2020. Not the presidential race, their race. If all they've done is go after Donald Trump and they have done nothing else, it's going to hurt them.
Yeah, and we'll hear from Nancy Pelosi on Monday, obviously out of the country, and saying she didn't want to speak on it at that point. Anita, thank you.
Sure, thank you.